Today, Labor reintroduced its signature $10 billion housing bill after it was blocked by the Coalition and the Greens. This was the message from Housing Minister Julie Collins.
We want those opposite and the Greens to join us and the crossbench to pass this bill. We want you to join the community housing providers who want this bill passed.
All right, let's bring in our political panel. Labor MP for Parramatta Andrew Charlton and National Senate Leader Bridget McKenzie. Welcome to you both on this sitting week in Canberra. Andrew, is this being reintroduced so that Anthony Albanese can have the option of an early election at the start of next year?
No, it's being reintroduced because it's incredibly important for Australia right now. Let me give you a real-life example of why this policy is so important. In New South Wales alone, there are more than 50,000 families on the social housing waiting list, people waiting for a home. And those people wait on average more than 10 years. In my electorate alone, there are 2,000 of those families on that wait list. And I was in my electorate last week opening a new social housing development, and the developer of that social housing development said that they could do dozens more just like that, helping families off the waiting list if this policy is passed. That's what we need to do, and that's why we've reintroduced it.
Well, Bridget, given that there is such a crisis in housing, people don't have a place to live, they're really struggling, especially the most vulnerable, why won't the Coalition support this?
Well, Shari, this is a really bad way to solve the housing crisis. I mean, on one hand, Labor's talking up a housing crisis while simultaneously bringing in an additional 1.5 million people into our already overcrowded cities. They've delayed setting up a planning ministers' meeting for over their first 12 months in government with state ministers, which is actually where the rubber hits the road in terms of opening up the supply side of the housing market. And this housing fund is on borrowed money. So at a time when we've got a cash rate through the roof, these guys are shelving out in excess of $300 million a year just to pay back the interest of the money they're borrowing to build a handful of houses. So this isn't the best way to solve the housing crisis, and we won't be supporting it.
Andrew, doesn't Bridget have a good point there that Labor's high immigration agenda is only making this housing crisis worse?
Well, Bridget has a great point that a lot of this is state responsibilities, and planning is a really important part of the housing solution. And the states are getting on with some of those planning proposals that will unleash new housing stock and enable new development. But the Commonwealth does have a role, and it's important that the Commonwealth doesn't vacate the field, which seems to be what the Liberals' policy is in relation to the housing crisis. And the Commonwealth's role is to unleash a wave of new housing through this Housing Australia Future Fund that will take the pressure off the housing stock, that will provide lots more houses for people to move into and take the pressure off social and affordable housing.